I'm talking to you. Have you checked out our skits channel? Well, if you haven't, you need to check it out. Taryl fixes all skits. And there's your dinner. Pterodactyl here. Today's video is going to be on this old vintage Castor CP70 chainsaw, which I had got for free from somebody who was cleaning up around their place. And they stopped by the shop, had a trailer full of stuff, and when I saw this, I grabbed it. Maybe you've never even heard of this saw. Not real popular here in the United States, but over there in Italy, where it's made, I'm sure you heard of it. Our grass rats over there in Italy. How you doing over there? You know what they call this thing in Italy? Pizza cutter. This is a pizza cutter. So we're gonna try to get this thing running and see how it works. And then when we're done with it, I'm gonna clean it up. We're gonna hang it up in the Taryl Museum. So I wanna point out a couple of things about this saw. So for one, it's electronic, which means it's got electronic ignition or solid state ignition or CDI, whatever you wanna call it, but it doesn't have points and condenser. And another interesting thing I noticed is it's got this Tension-matic chain adjuster on it, which is kind of neat. It's spring loaded. So when you when the chain gets loose or stretches from cutting and it starts sagging down here, you would just simply loosen these nuts, and because this is spring loaded, it would tighten the chain and you would just tighten this back up. So I don't understand why, other manufacturers wouldn't have stole this idea and put this on their chainsaws of today. And then again, when the chain stretches to the point where you run out of adjustment, then you know that the chain is stretched out. You need to either take a link out or put a new chain on it. So I thought that was kind of a neat feature that Castor had. So like with any piece of equipment, if you've been watching this channel for a long time, is we're going to want to check for, the three basic things. You got to have spark, you got to have compression, and you got to have fuel. So first thing we're going to do is, if you don't have a spark tester, is to just simply put some dinosaur farts into the carburetor and see if the thing will run and die. And then that way we know that it's an ignition problem, or a fuel problem. Why am I saying ignition problem? We're checking for ignition. So here's the air filter. Now I know I'm not going to be able to find one, so I'm going to have to gingerly try to clean this one up. And first thing I notice is the fuel line's gone, but the little clip is down here. And there's no remnants of fuel line left. So somebody must have been in here and cleaned that out. And then here's our oiler. And I noticed it had a line on it too, and that had rotted off. So we're going to have to see about replacing that so we can get the manual oiler to work. Now I'm sure it's got an automatic oiler, I would think, and this would just be to help oil it. And here's our choke. So since our fuel comes into here, that's where we're going to want to put some dinosaur farts. But since it's a two-stroke, I'm not going to want to spray like carb spray in there to see if it's going to run. We need something with some lubricant in it. So I'll get my syringe that I always use, and we'll shoot a little bit in there, and we'll see if it'll start. Now, I can tell it's got compression. See, it's got compression because I'm holding it by the rope, and it's barely So let me get some dinosaur cocktail, and we'll squirt it in there and see if it'll start running dye. And if it does, then chances are we're only going to have to rebuild the carburetor. Well, I couldn't find my syringe that I normally use. I misplaced it. But I did remember I had one of these little pressurized canisters that you could put any kind of liquid in and then pressurize it, because it's got a Schrader valve on there. And I remember seeing Bob from Double Wide 6, if you don't know about him, he's got a YouTube channel. You might want to check it out. We know Bob. And I noticed that he used one of these, and I totally forgot I had one of these where I could pressurize it. So I put some dinosaur cocktail in there, and I'm going to spray it right in here, because this is the intake for the carburetor. And then we'll see if we can get it to lick off. And I'll pull the choke out anyway. I'm going to put it on the ground. Put my foot in here. Well, we know it's got spark. We know it's got compression. Let's focus on the carburetor. All right, let's take a look in the gas tank. Okay, it's a plastic gas tank. That's good. It's not metal. And it's clean. As you can see. Now let me see where that fuel line went in. Okay, it looks like it's got a rubber grommet on the tank. And you can see where there's some of the old fuel line that's still left in there. Yeah. So somebody must have got rid of the... I don't see any tank filter. Let me see if I can... Oh, sounds like something's in there. No? Little bits and pieces. Usually there's a piece of hose. Oh, there it is. All right, let me grab some forceps here. And gingerly, okay, here's the fuel line and here's the fuel filter. Oh, because I know it's brittle. Let's see how brittle it is. Yeah. So this is the size fuel line we're going to need. And I probably got a new tank filter. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. Let me knock out this old piece out of that grommet. There's still another piece of fuel line. So I'll find a piece that size. I hope I got it. I should have. Since I knocked that piece in there, let's see if it's in there. I don't see nothing. I don't know where it went. Oh, there it comes. Little bits of it, little fragments. Let me blow some shop air in there. Okay. So now, where does this oil line that came off of here? Oh, I see. Okay. So here's, let me get a little pick here. So here's the hose fitting here, and then it looks like it went down here. Can you see that? Here's another hose clamp. So I don't know if that hose, because that's kind of a short distance to go from here to there without kinking it. So I wonder if the hose went like this way and then went underneath this intake manifold and then went into there. That's kind of a sharp bend. Okay, it gives a little bit. I'm probably going to have to pull the recoil off so I could see where this is going. But that's got to be where the, I don't see anywhere else where that oil line would go. I don't know, will it fit through here? Looks like it'll fit through there. No, it's not going to fit through here. There's no room for it to go underneath here. Or is there? I don't know. It looks pretty tight. All right, let's try to take this carburetor off. And it looks like it comes off right from here. Remove these two Allen heads. Here's our trigger and our choke, which has a cotter pin in it. Doesn't look like it's easy to, gotta pull that cotter pin out. And it looks like they're using an O-ring here. They're using an O-ring to hold this throttle link on. That's odd. But hey, and it's got a Tillotson carburetor on it. Tillotson Taryl from Ireland. Yeah, that's from Ireland now. Yeah, we make the Tillotsons here in Ireland. So I want to give a shout out to all our grass rats over there in Ireland. How you doing? So I wonder why they didn't paint it green. Get it, green? They should have put a little shamrock on there too. Taryl. What's Taryl mean? I could look it up, but I don't know right now. I'm sure our grass rats over there in Ireland will let me know what Taryl means. That sounds like it could be a girl's name. Me and my girlfriend, Taryl. And here I'm saying all this, and it might mean something totally different. Be like, you wouldn't. We wouldn't name our daughter Taryl. Taryl. That would be like naming your son Toaster Oven. One time I thought about changing my name to Toaster Oven. Alright, so let me pull off this little O-ring, and I don't want to lose it. Where's my tray? It just popped off of there. Let me grab my Taryl. Taryl. Didn't Dolly Parton do a song called Taryl? Taryl. Oh, that's Jolie. All right, let's not lose these little bits and bobs. Okay. So let me open it up. There, now I was able to get that off. Now I got to reach down and get that cotter pin, that welcome back cotter out of there. And that looks like it may be difficult to get back in once we put this thing together. So they didn't bend it. They just bent it a little bit on the end. Probably just to keep it from coming out. But that doesn't look like it's going to be easy to get back on there. All right, so I got all this disconnected. And now we've got our Tillotson carburetor off. Now it says on the bottom, Marvel Shebler Tillotson. Now there's three guys' names on there. Now Marvel and Shebler don't sound like they're Irish names. Made in Ireland. And then it says 1963. But I know this saw isn't from 63. It's probably from the 80s. But there we go. Tillotson Taryl. Come here, Taryl. Maybe you might name your cat or your dog Taryl. So here's a gasket. And it looks like it's piston port. There's no reeds. And look at the piston. Looks good. It's got a lot of compression. So the piston ring is way up here in this spot. All right. So here's that other thing I was talking about for the oiler. That's got to be for the oiler. And good thing I got all these doctoring tools and dental tools. So that went to there. And I'm pretty sure, see, because this turned on us now. Wait a minute, what is this? Is there a hole down here? Okay. So now this thing is lined up with a hole going through here. And this is coming out this way. So how does this oiler work? Okay, that must be in, and this must be out. So this must be what feeds that. So what is this? All right, I gotta pull this recoil off. We gotta inspect this a little further. Okay, we're gonna pull the recoil off, but look, here it's made in Conegliano, Italy. Yeah, Conegliano. So maybe one of you grass rats over there know about or live in Conegliano. My grandpa, he built that saw back in Italy. Probably, right? Maybe he built this for Mario or his brother Luigi. All right, so I'm gonna pull this off. And of course it's all nasty in here. So here's this oiler system. So we got two lines here. Okay, here's another line that's buried. So here's a line here, and here's a line here. So let me try to figure this out. All right. So this line, which moved again, I noticed. Oh no, it's down there. So we need to run a little hose from here to there. Now, this line, so this is the oil tank, I take it, under here. And there's a line coming up under here, which goes under the flywheel. Here's the oil tank. So where does this line go? What is this here? Well, that's some hardware. There's our adjusting screws. So where does this go? Why is this just coming up straight? Now I'm figuring this line probably runs because we got to be able to feed the bar. I don't know. I'm confused on this thing. But let's get it running. Here, let me pull this off. Let's pull this bar and chain off of here. Anything else holding this on? There we go. Okay. I guess you can lock that back in that position. Yeah, it's like bigger here for this knob. So I guess when you want to take the bar off, you can lock it in there to take the tension off. This chain is all rusty. Let's take this off. Our way. And then we got a bunch of balled up boogers in here. Isn't that something, how it balls up like that from vibration? That's what happens. It vibrates. You got debris in there and it just vibrates and swirls around and then it just turns it into a ball. All right. So here's a line coming in here. For the oiler. Alright, I need to take this thing outside and clean it real good. Blow it out real good with the air compressor so I can kind of see what the heck is going on. Let me put the gas cap back on. I'm going to have to cover that up. I don't want any crap to get in there. Put a piece of tape over it or something. Okay, I think I got this thing figured out. So this line here is the one going up. And this tees off of the tank. And this line is the line that goes to feed this here, which feeds the bar. And then this is just, you know, to help oil it. So I think I need to put a little piece of hose between here, right there, and the pump, right here. And then I believe this hose is going to connect to here, because I don't see any other place it can go out of the saw. And then that line goes back to the tank again. So it looks to me like both of these are coming out of the tank. And then when you pump this is going to push pressure on this line, which again goes to the tank, which is going to add oil to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little piece of line on here, and I'm going to run a little piece of line to there, and we're going to put some bar and chain oil in there and see if I'm correct. All right, so I got the hose hooked up between there and the bottom of the pump, and I used our gel lube, which we sell in our online store, to kind of help, you know, lubricate it so it would slip onto the fittings easier, because it was kind of tricky to get it on there. And then I just ran this hose from here to there, and it didn't kink, so I think that's maybe how it went. And then I filled it with some Dinosaur bar and chain oil. So now, let me pump this thing and see if it works. I can hear air coming out of there. Well, maybe we gotta run it to purge it. Or maybe this thing is shot. Maybe this pump is bad, maybe the seals in there are bad. But that's the only way I would think it would work. All right, it doesn't seem to be working. So let's do this. And this is the hose I used. I use this rotary branded Echo hose, which we also sell in our online store. Part number is 13370. You don't want to use the 20 dash. I sell it for $1.50 a foot. Okay, maybe it's got to be primed, like I said. Or maybe it's got to be running. And it'll prime it. So let's concentrate on rebuilding the carburetor, getting it running, and then maybe once it's running, it'll start pumping again. If not, well, then the oiler don't work. But as long as we can get it running, because again, it's going in the museum. It's not like I'm going to be using it. I basically could just clean it real good and hang it on the wall with my collection. So let's see what we got. Let's see. So this is the fuel pump side. I mean, these might work. Here's our little screen. There's a little screen in there, which a lot of these, that's your fuel filter basically. Well, kind of. And then you got the one in the tank. And then let's see what this diaphragm looks like. Oh, that one ain't gonna fit, that screwdriver. Do I got one that's gonna fit these little? Yeah, this will work. Let's take a look at this diaphragm. Yeah, it's got to have an automatic oiler the way that thing is teed in, and that thing kind of helps it. So maybe there's some air in there, or it needs to get a little bit of primed with some oil, and it'll start working. I could take it off and see. All right, this diaphragm is still pliable. It's soft. And then it's got a little nub on there that fits in this fork. So it opens the needle and seat. Let me see if I got a kit. I think I do. This is let's see what model this is. It doesn't say on there. I think this is an H or something they call it. It escapes me. All right, I got some Tillotson kits. Let me look through them and see. I believe this is the kit. This DG5HS/T. So this is an HS Tillotson, I believe. We're gonna find out here once I pull all these parts out. Oh yeah, that looks like the fuel pump. That looks like the fuel pump gasket right there. Oh yeah, that's a perfect match. All right, woo! Woo! And here's the diaphragm, and this little metal disc looks like it got bent from sitting in that box. But it looks like I can straighten that out. So let's put a new kit in it. Pretty straightforward. Just like with any of these, you're going to want to match everything with it. So here's the gasket. You know, when you take these things apart, you're going to want to match it. So the gasket goes on top of the diaphragm. It doesn't go like this. It goes like this. Actually, it goes like this. Want to line up all our holes. It's pretty simple. And then we're going to hook that little nub into that fork. So you got to kind of hook that in. So let me do this. Let me put this gasket on first. Let's put that gasket on. Let's get that oriented right. All right, so that's how that goes. Now we know that this is going to go in the top. We can peel it back like this and hold it. Hook it on, and then just let it lay on there. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Taryl, stop already with the Italian. Mamma mia. Mamma mia. Speaking Italian on the Irish carburetor. You want to hear my bad Italian and my bad Irish accents? Keep watching the video. Need a better little tiny screwdriver. I've got them. It's just, we're in the middle of doing this. This little slot's got some crud in there. All right. So on this, because this is the machine side. Now I know some people like to soak these in ultrasonic cleaners. I don't think that's necessary. I'm going to lightly blow this off when I put a little carb spray on there. I usually don't put these in an ultrasonic cleaner because, you know, the gas and oil mix kind of keeps everything from getting corroded. And in my opinion, if you've got one that's that bad that you need to put it in an ultrasonic cleaner, then you need to just put a new carburetor on it. So is this right? Yeah, this has got to be. No, this is right. All right, see? This is right. Because here's our little flappers. Got to go over those holes. See, everything lines up. Because this is the machined area, so this is where you want this to be. You don't want to put this on there and then put this on. It's not going to work. This has got to go against the machined area. Always remember that. Then this, which is going to, fit on those little nubs there. It's just a matter of having patience and just checking everything and matching it. And then when you're successful at getting it all lined up, especially when you work on one of these Tillotsons, when you get done and it's all good, you go, Taryl! Taryl is probably a town in Ireland, now that I'm looking at this and thinking about it. Tillotson. Taryl, Ireland. That's the town it was made in, I bet you any minute. I bet you any money. You're all yelling at the screen right now over there, and I'm going, Taryl is the town, you bloody, you bleeding, blubbering idiot. Taryl is the town, Taryl. You blubbering idiot, you bloody idiot. Do you say bloody over there? Why is everything bloody? All right. So now we can hook up all the links I've got to run the fuel line in there. Now, this is another problem, because I've got about 10 different sizes of this fuel line. And this is the only fuel line I could find that was closest to the stuff that was on there. Where's a piece of that? So, this is real close to the outside diameter. The only problem is the inside diameter. It's teeny tiny. It's teeny tiny, Taryl. A teeny tiny hole in the middle. So, if you run into this, when you're working on this small engine stuff, chainsaws, this odd stuff, you're gonna have to sleeve it. I do this a lot to get it to the right size. So this is the same line that we used for the oiler. And it's pretty close. Now I've got this other stuff that might even work better. Where is it? It's over here. This is some more Echo fuel line. And this is, again, $1 a foot, what we charge. $133.69 is the part number. And we sell this in our online store. Now I've got this stuff too. So this is a little heavier on the outside, and but the inside diameters are about the same. So I've done this to sleeve things. So, see, that fits inside there without any effort. So of course, when I push it over this, it's going to make it even bigger. So I'm going to make what's called a sleeve. I'm just going to cut a little piece off. And now I've made a sleeve. And I can push it on there. Now it's a little long. Let me pull it back off. Some of it. Let me trim a little off. Let me pull it back. Now I've made a sleeve. And now, when I push this on there, see, it's going to fit tight. Now we've got a tight fit. You like that little trick? There, you can have it for free. And another trick, whenever you're trying to feed these lines through things, you want to cut the end, like a needle, like a sewing needle, or like a hypodermic needle. So now, I can shove it through that grommet that's in the tank. And if you're having a hard time shoving it through there, again, you can put some lubricant on there. You can even use soap, like dish soap. You know, anything to lubricate it up. So I'm going to put a little bit of our gel lube on there. And see, now I can push it through there. Even when you're working on them cheap weed eaters where they use this fuel line to seal into the plastic tank, you know, your better equipment, like your Stilches and your Echoes and stuff, they usually got rubber grommets or molded fuel lines that are molded onto a grommet that plugs into a plastic tank. Now that cheap MTD garbage and all those other cheap weed eaters and stuff where the fuel lines rot off, they use the fuel line to seal through the tank. So you just do the same thing. You just skin the line back. You know, you skin it back. Those you usually got to skin back pretty far. And then you feed it into the tank. And then you got to have hemostats so you can get inside there and grab the fuel line and pull it through. But you want the fuel line to fit tight through that hole in that plastic tank because that's how it seals. But, you know, we don't work on that crap anymore because that stuff is garbage. And because of what we charge, you know, it's just not worth it. We did a video on that. All right. Enough of that talk. All right, so now I shoved the fuel line in there, so I gotta find it. So I've made a tool. I'm going to walk around Mr. Cameraman here. So I've made a tool, a hook tool, a piece of coat hanger. I've had this thing for 20 years. Just made out a piece of coat hanger. And then you just reach in there and find that fuel line. And then you pull it out, see? Make your own tools. And now I'll cut that square. And then I'll put a fuel filter on there. So since that's about 1/4 inch, I'll put a 1/4 inch fuel filter on there. I think this will fit. If not, they make it in 3/16. All right, that's a little heavy. But this is what Stilches use. These 1/4 inch barbed ones. So in case you got any Stilch stuff, you can get this Oregon one, 07211. See, it replaces the Zama ZF5. So they make these 3/16 ones in different sizes too. See, they make a teeny tiny one, and they make a large one. Now the Oregon numbers I got are, for the large one, 07210 for the 3/16, and the small one, 07208, or in the case of this Stens one, 610174. See, and again, it replaces these Zama ones. So I've got the large 3/16 one, which is what I'm going to use. And see, it fits tight on there. So I'm going to have to push it in there. And then, you know, you can turn the fuel line and kind of shove it in there. And you want to make sure, see, it's kind of hard because you can't see in there to see where it's going to land. So you can just push it in there. Make sure you got enough fuel line in there. All right, the fuel line stopped going in. So that should be enough. So then the carburetor goes on there like this. So I'm going to cut it right here because I could always pull it back a little. And this fuel line here that I'm using is Tygon. You've probably never seen this. This is good stuff. I don't use much of this size. But this is the Stens number, 115-712. And this is the size. It's 3/16 inside diameter. And it's 5/16 outside diameter. And it's got a 1/16 of an inch wall. So it's got a pretty thick wall. And it's low permeation fuel line. So that means the fumes aren't going to permeate from the outside of it. Okay. So now I'll just go ahead and reinstall the carburetor. And we had to push this forward. So now the tricky part for me is going to be to try to get that little cotter pin back in there, that welcome back cotter. And then to also, now I know there was some fuel line clamps and stuff that were on there. I don't know if I'm going to put them back on. That's up to you if you want to do that when you're working on your stuff. These are two different sizes, that's right. I think I just lost a washer. I'll find it. There it is. But usually when it fits on there real tight, it's not going to come off. So I'll go ahead and tighten this down. As soon as I find the right Allen wrench I had, here it is. get that lined up. That one's going in. It's not like I can put new gaskets on this thing because I don't think I was pushing down on it enough. Come on. Come on, start threading in there. What's going on here? There we go. Put that little O-ring on the end. I'll get the I'll get that cotter pin in that holds the choke lever. Try to tighten these evenly. And hopefully when we run it, it'll start oiling, and it'll maybe send some oil into that manual pump, and it'll start working. But if it doesn't, it's not like I'm going to be using it. It's a wall hanger. Oop. A little fitting turned on me. There we go. It ain't gonna come off. All right. Like a surgeon. Like a surgeon. Cut for the very first time. Like a surgeon. All right, let me try to snake this thing back in there. That's going to be difficult. I don't think you need to see me struggle with that. And we'll put some dinosaur cocktail in it and see if this thing will start running. I don't know if I'm going to get this in there. This is probably the trickiest part of this. I don't know why they designed this thing this way. This isn't going to be easy. It's even more difficult when you got some cameraman hovering over you. All right, I got it. So what I ended up doing was I ended up grabbing the end of it with these, and then I took this dental tool, which has just got a flat point, and I stuck that through the eye of the cotter pin and kind of steadied it. So with these two tools, like a surgeon, I was able to take this and push on the eye of it and then use this to hold it to get it in there. Very tricky. I wish there was something I could use dental floss on, because you know, 9 out of 10 dentists tell you to use dental floss. So my dentist is that 10th dentist that tells you not to use dental floss, and he also tells you not to brush. And I had to search him out because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to floss and I don't want to brush. So I need to find that 10th dentist. I don't want those other 9. Okay, I got it all reassembled. I filled it with dinosaur cocktail. Let's pull the choke. I got it latched on high idle. I'm going to put it down here and stick my foot in there. I don't know if you noticed or not, but that's for your foot to go. Woo! It's going to run. All right, we're gonna have to do a little carburetor adjusting, but it is oiling. Look, it is oiling like mad. Now let's see if the manual oiler is working. Oh yeah. See, it just need a little prime action. Oh yeah, I can feel pressure on this. Oh really, look at it now. It's really oiling. Woo! Yeah, that's what I need. All that oil dripping down the wall of my new shop. Okay. Let me try to clean this air filter, and then we're gonna have to adjust the carburetor because it was a little hesitant. I think I gotta open it up a little bit. I thought I wasn't gonna have to do nothing, but yeah, oiler works, so I figured it out how that system works. Let me clean this. One thing you got to keep in mind when you're cleaning these old air filters, and I'm sure I'm not going to be able to find one of these. I washed it in soapy water, and I lightly hit it with that Scotch-Brite. Then I kind of lightly blew it off with air, and then I hit it with carb spray, and then blew it again. Because this flocking, you know, wants to start to come off of there depending on how old it is. See, it put a hole in it, you know, so sawdust is going to get through there. And through here. But again, this saw isn't going to be used for cutting, you know, it's more of a novelty or a wall hanger. Or it would be good to take to like a tractor show and cut some wood with it, you know. A little bit of ingested sawdust isn't going to hurt it. It's not like we're sucking metal in there, it's just sawdust. But, you know, unless you can find a new old stock filter. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on, put it back together. And then we're going to have to adjust the carburetor. And then I'm going to sharpen the chain and put the chain and the bar and everything back on it. And it's dark now. So next day or so I'm going to bring some wood up here and we're going to cut some wood with it. And then I'll probably, you know, clean it up too. Get it all nice and clean because I want to hang it on the wall. And then we'll show me hanging it on the wall in the new shop with all the other saws I got. Sharpening the chain with my Marky Markuson, made in Sweden. Hello everybody over there in Sweden, all you grass rats in Sweden. Hi. And I took my groove cleaner and I cleaned out the groove in the bar. Had a lot of nastiness in there. So as soon as that chain's done being sharpened, we'll stick it back on there and we're going to tune it. And then we'll cut some wood with it. Alright, I got the chain all back on there, nice and sharp. Got it all bolted up there. So I need a little teeny tiny screwdriver to get in here and adjust this thing. Oh, one other thing. When I was messing with this thing, I found the this tag here, and it says data and Siri. So data is date in Italian. Data. And the data for this chainsaw, if you could see in there, Mr. Cameraman, is 1985. So this thing is like 39 years old. And then there's the Siri, which is serial number. And there's the Siri number of it. But we all know what Siri is now. Alright, so little teeny tiny screwdriver. And again, for you grass rats that watch a lot, this thing was hesitant a little bit. After I got it running, it went bah, 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 bah. So that's low speed. And your low speed screw is the one that's always closest to the engine. So that would be the one in the front. So I'm going to open that probably about a half a turn. And then I'm going to open the high speed a little bit turn. A little bit two turn. Two turn. Now let me Latch it back on high. Here's our on-off switch. I'll choke it, and let's see what happens. Push choke in. Idling a little low, but that little tweaking helped. So let me see, where's the idle screw at? I don't see the idle screw in these two. Where is it on this side? Let me take the air cleaner cover off. Find that idle screw. So 1985. There's the idle screw. So I'm going to want to turn that in a little bit. Do they have a port for that over here? No. There's no hole to get to that. So you have to take the air cleaner off. So I'm going to turn it in a little bit. Alright, let's start it. Switch up. Put it back on the floor. I don't want to try to pull it. That sounds good as we die of carbon monoxide poisoning. So I leaned out the low speed a little bit. So remember, the low speed is from when you go from idle to high. So if you have hesitation, sometimes you have to open that up. Then I opened up to high speed, and it kind of revved real high. And it sounded like it was running a little lean. So then I opened it. Then it kind of ran too rich. It was fluttering, so I closed it up. Closed up the low speed. So you kind of got to mess with them until you find that sweet spot. But don't be afraid. And again, you know, I don't have the air cleaner on it too, so that didn't help. And you should always tune it with the air filter on. So here I was messing with the idle. And then started messing with the adjustment. So let's see how it runs now. I may have to adjust it again. Adjust the carburetor when it's at full operating temperature, because it's going to change a little bit. So it seems to be all right. It's got good throttle response off of idle to high when I throttled it. And it's a little rich on top end, but we don't have it under a load. So when we get it in a log, you know, it should smooth out. Because you don't want to run it too lean, you'll burn it up. And as you can see, the oiler is working good. We're getting plenty of oil, and that looks like some old nasty oil that's been turging itself out because I cleaned it all up out of that oil system. So yeah, it's oiling good. And our chain, see, our chain is loosened up. It was rusty. So let's loosen these a little bit and then see if this adjuster is going to tighten that up. See if that little, oh yeah, see, oh, it snugged it right up once I, and another thing, when you go to tighten this thing, see how much there's play in there? So if my arm is the log, you're going to be pushing down on it, you know, you're going to want to lift up on this as you go to tighten the bar. Because if you tighten it like this, when you push on it, you know, it's going to want to go up. So just pick up on it a little bit and tighten it in that position. See, now it's tight. Proper tension with that spring on there. I kind of like that idea. Do you like that idea, grass rats? I kind of like it. All you got to do is loosen it up and that thing just shoves it forward for you. Instead of that stupid toolless thing that Stilch has got where you got that stupid thumb wheel, which is too tiny, gets clogged up with crap. Then you're trying to tighten the chain and you can't get that stupid thumb wheel to move, and I kind of like this better. Are you watching, Stilch? Are you watching, Echo? Maybe you want to, I'm sure the patents had run out on this. Maybe you ought to put something like this on your chainsaws, Echo and Stilch. Oh yeah, I forgot about Husqvarna, but maybe they might steal the idea. Oh, they're probably all stealing it right now. They're all writing it down. We gotta put that on there. We need to get a Castor. Let's get a Castor. So I'll find out that Tensomatic. Let's do that Tensomatic. Well, we're all ready. Let's get the old Castor fired up. Fire it up! 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 Fire it up. Let's see how she cuts. Castor, running like it's on castor oil. Look at that. And look at all our little friends came out. Adam Ant and his friends. She was throwing some chips too. Some healthy chips. All right, so time to drain out all the dinosaur juice and dinosaur oil and clean it up and hang it on the wall in the Taryl Museum. Well, here we are in the unfinished Taryl Museum, soon to be finished, and we're standing in front of the wall of signs and saws, and we're about to add the Castor to the collection. Man, this thing's kind of heavy, 1985 technology. We got a spot right here for you, baby. There you go, baby. There's your new home. we have some spots open for some future collector saws. So stay tuned to this channel as we fill the wall of signs and saws in the Taryl Museum. Well, if you haven't already subscribed to this YouTube channel, subscribe. Get your wife to subscribe. Use her YouTube account or your kids. Follow me with your antique chainsaws on Facebook, Instagram, and soon to be banned TikTok, maybe, probably not. And check out our web store. We got all kinds of stuff for sale, spark plug necklaces, t-shirts, hats. Check it out. There might be something there you want. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! And the Castor to the collection of saws on the wall of saws and signs in the Taryl Museum.